Hello everyone, my name is Edu and this is Ready Go Expats. In today's video, I invited David McNeill to talk about his experience living in Portugal and also what makes Portugal so special for people around the globe. Ready? Go.
So I would say people speak English here very well. Naturally, there are some people that don't, and that's not too surprising. And so, of course, it's good to know some. But the hard part, in a way, I mean, the easy and the hard part is that it's so easy for people just to recognize that I don't speak it well and to switch to near perfect English, right? So it also decreases my motivation a little bit. That being said, I recognize how important it is. And of course, again, there are people that don't speak it. So having those small conversations is great. Yeah, it is tough. Like, I do want to get good at Portuguese. I like the language a lot. I think it's a really cool language.
I'm just going to give you one piece of advice. I'm sure you're studying European Portuguese because
of course.
Brazilian Portuguese is another language. They say, and some people say, oh, is it like American and British English? I'm like, no, because I remember when I was in Lisbon with my mom, we took those hop on, hop off buses. And it's literally like language 1 is European Portuguese. Language 13 is Brazilian Portuguese. So they have literally like two different languages. And the Portuguese, They say we don't speak Portuguese, we speak Brazilian. I've been doing a lot of research about Portugal. And it's so funny that it's always in the top 5 retirement destinations in the world. It's the startup scene in Lisbon and Porto is getting bigger and bigger. And actually, there are some startups all over like Aveiro, Braga, Algarve region, and other regions as well. It's usually top 5 as well, like Lisbon, Porto, top 10 when it comes to destinations for digital nomads. So what is the appeal? Like, now that you're there, what do you think why do people choose Portugal? Why is Portugal so popular? And just, you are 1 hour away from Braga. Braga just won the best European destination in 2020 or 2021. I don't remember the year, but yeah, why? What is so special about Portugal?
I think for a long time, people just didn't really care to know. It was a hidden gem for a while, and it's no longer hidden. I think that's the thing.
Yes.
The main thing that drew us here was almost the difference from what we experienced in Germany. So, the big ones are, people here are really, really nice. People here are really nice. People are very welcoming. People are very friendly. And that's not what we saw in Berlin. I can't speak for German people as a whole. I can't speak for Germany as a whole. But Berlin, it was difficult. And there's a lot of foreigners there. There's a lot of expats. And so those were most of my friends. I did have some German friends, but more internationally minded German friends, let's say, overall. So I think people is a big one. I think weather is another big one. Of course, we're not in the nicest weather part of Portugal. So a lot of people go to Algarve, like you said, or down south. Basically, southern Portugal tends to have better weather. However, this is still so much better weather than Berlin. Berlin was cold, gray, dark 6 months out of the year. Look, I mean, it can get cold here in Porto. It can get colder. It can rain. I mean, it's kind of got a little bit of it's a bit more of a rainy city. And obviously I'm close to the beach, so you're going to have the impact of that as well. But it is still so much better. It's all relative, maybe it's not the absolute best, but it's all relative. So again, better people, better weather, and better food. I mean, German food's all right, but we love here the Portuguese food. And I think those things, along with maybe the cost of living here is going up quickly. So it's not like you could come here with 500 euros a month and be fine. I'm not going to argue that, but it is maybe cheaper. And that's also why a lot of companies are moving here, because basically there's a lot of good, hardworking, smart engineering talent here. And that's led a lot of companies to start here or to open offices. The company I worked for is a German company that I didn't work for in Germany, but I got the job here because they had an office here in Matzinius. So there's a lot of opportunities. It's growing. And I think all of that, along with some of the visas here, for example, the D7 visa is for passive income. So if you're making income from abroad, even if it's pension income, you can use that potentially to sponsor your visa here. There's tax breaks as well. So there's non-habitual resident status. If you're coming in from another country, you can get a 10-year tax holiday, not necessarily paying zero taxes, depends on what type of income. But if you're, for example, working for a Portuguese company, working for a local company, you're able to only pay 20% flat tax on that, as opposed to up to 45 or 48% is the top tax bracket in Portugal. So you can have these benefits coming in as a foreigner here. There's also things like the digital nomad village in Madeira, which is another island. Yeah, so it's an island. It's which I went there for last New Year's, which was great. It's one of the best New Year's firework destinations in the world.
Really?
They have. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like being on one of the hotel, we went to the top floor, and you just turn around and there's like fireworks in all directions.
Wow.
Out in the sea, I mean, it was absolutely crazy, and did some scuba diving there and stuff. So, and of course we had to get tested and everything, but that's part of Portugal. There's also the Azores, which we haven't been to yet, but I'd like to go there. So it's just a beautiful place, great weather, great food, great people, very accommodating visa situation, accommodating to foreigners. They have golden visas as well for people that have the money to invest here. They have the tax benefits, they have digital nomad stuff. They're trying to digitalize the country. We'll see how that all goes, but really make the process hopefully less paper intensive and less bureaucratic as best as they can. So I imagine a lot of people are wondering, and they always ask this question, Lisbon versus Porto, right? And the short of it for me is that Lisbon's maybe got more, maybe more job opportunities, maybe more stuff going on. However, it also has the downsides of the big city. I think it's, in my opinion, it's a bit dirtier, it's a bit harder to get around, it's more crowded, it's definitely more expensive. Naturally, depending on how far you live from downtown and all that stuff. But I really like to go there on the weekend, on like a weekend trip, or for a couple of days. And I love coming to live here in Porto. So that's my personal opinion. We were also wondering at the time, and again, I got the job here, so it made the decision for us. So I don't want to say that necessarily I picked it strongly over the other one, but now that I'm here, I'm really thankful to be here.
You mentioned like a lot of the pros, like the food, the weather, the people. What about the cons of living in Portugal?
Yeah, I think the main one, okay, so I guess I should get out of the way first. I honestly don't believe that there are many cons, and I'm not trying to fool anyone here. So before we moved here, I asked my friends who were from Portugal or had lived here that were in Berlin. Maybe they'd gone to Berlin to work, for example. I mean, they can make significantly more money there, to be honest. So I asked them, look, we loved it there, but tell us the truth. Is it really like this? Or are we going to move there and we're going to be blindsided by this or that? And I'm not saying it's been perfect here. However, they said, which we found to generally be true, that what you see is what you get. And it's a relatively similar experience to living there as it is to traveling. Of course, you have to deal with the bureaucracy. So that's the big negative. Everything here takes a long time. And it's very hard to accept that when you're coming from the fast-paced life in America, in Tokyo, even in Berlin, but Berlin had a ton of bureaucracy and things were super slow there. So in a way, I was already kind of getting used to it. I think if you went from New York City to inland somewhere, continental Portugal, I think you'd have a really hard time adjusting to that. And of course, it sounds like, okay, just take your time, it's fine. But like, it is frustrating. I'm not gonna lie about it. It is frustrating, but it is just different, and everywhere you move to has its pros and cons, and you have to adjust to it, and you will get angry, but it's not that bad. I mean, I felt like adjusting to life in Germany and adjusting to life in Japan was much harder for me. Other than that, yeah, the public transportation is not very good. I'm a big public transportation person. I haven't owned a car since I was in high school. So I really love that, and I've had to slow down on that too. I mean, of course I still take it, but actually even though I'm 30-40 minutes by metro from downtown Porto, we don't go that often, and we love it here in our little city, and that's part of the reason why. But on the other hand, it is a big pain. Of course, I could pay a few bucks to get an Uber downtown or things like that, and I do that sometimes, but it's prefer to use public transportation and save a little cash. And it's just waiting around for it. And, you know, it just takes time. You have to learn to go at a slower pace. And I think for people like me, it's hard to adjust.
Yeah, and that's a con, but for a lot of people, and I'm sure for you as well, it's a pro, because sometimes we're like, we want to slow down, like, and I hear that a lot, like from YouTube videos that I watch about living in Portugal. It's like, yeah, it takes time, bureaucracy, it's tough, but in a way it's good, because at the end of the day, we all want to slow down. I mean, if you're 22 years old and you go to, you know, you don't want to slow down, but eventually you will want to slow down.